I'm James Passery with Real Money's Fill or Kill team in New York, and I'm here with Mark Hunter, CEO of Molson Coors. First thing I want to do is make the setting a little more comfortable, a place where everyone knows your name, so let's switch that up. And yeah, Molson Coors, the top performer of Real Money's Vice Squad watch list. It's doing phenomenal this year. And one thing I want to talk about is the rising popularity of craft beers and cider. How does Molson plan to further tap into the craft and cider markets?
Well, interesting thing, James, is that we started as a craft company ourselves. So back in 1786 in Canada with the Molson business, and 1873 with the Adolf Coors business in Colorado. So over the last couple of centuries, we've gone from small craft player to just a more popular international business now. And actually, if you look at our current portfolio, brands like Coors Banquet, I think, are testament to our legacy in that area. But brands like Blue Moon, which has grown for 81 quarters in a row, shows that we have an ability to set the agenda and compete in what's become a very intensely competitive craft segment. But craft's good for beer. It's got people talking about provenance and style and flavors.
Are there any specific geographic areas where you're going to push more aggressively in, or is it just an international initiative?
Well, if you look at the shape of our business,
right.
Our footprint now is the US, Canada, Europe, and when we close the transaction that we're currently working through to acquire all of MillerCoors, our beers will be available in over 70 countries internationally. And outside of North America, that's principally focused on the Coors trademark, which is absolutely on fire at the moment, particularly in Latin America. The Miller trademark and Staropramen, which is our Czech beer, and doing really well in Europe.
Right. Yeah, secondly, let's talk about MillerCoors. It's a huge transaction. I think it's $12 billion.
That's correct.
Do we see any regulatory or antitrust concerns here? I mean, I know this was a major benefit in your first quarter earnings. I mean, they were able to keep volumes at a manageable level. Could shareholders expect this deal to easily move across the finish line in 2016?
Well, our expectation is that the deal will close in the second half of 2016. I think the regulatory approvals are coming towards us now pretty quickly. There's still 2 or 3 which are outstanding. We've been planning intensely for the last 6 months on this, so we'll be ready to go on day one, whether day one's in weeks or in months. But the expectation is it will still be the second half of 2016, and it transforms our business. It will double the size of our business, and we'll become the third largest brewer globally.
And Molson already has a stake in MillerCoors. It's had for quite a while, but this will be 58%, right? The remaining stake of a joint venture. Are there any specific products or areas of the business that Miller and Molson are really going to tie up well together in?
Well, one of the areas that you mentioned was the growth in craft, and if you actually look at the Molson Coors portfolio, we've got the number one craft brands in the UK with Sharps, and in Ireland with Franciscan Well. We have craft brands in Canada, and we have a strong craft portfolio in the US. So I think one of the opportunities is actually to see some of those craft brands, and Blue Moon's a great example. It's now in about 20 countries internationally. So there's lots of interest in both our craft brands, but as I mentioned earlier, the Coors trademark, the Miller trademark, and Staropramen are in many, many markets and growing very rapidly.
Could you talk maybe a little bit about how historic these companies are, Molson and Molson? I mean, I know they date back. I was surprised to hear this morning. To the 1780s, I believe, MillerCoors, right?
So John Molson started the Molson Beer Company back in 1786. So he actually took the craft of brewing to Canada.
Yeah.
And on our board now, Jeff and Andrew Molson are 7th generation direct descendants from John Molson. The same in the US, Adolf Coors started in 1873. Pete Coors and his son Pete Jr. sit on our board. And they really assist with a generational perspective on our company. They let then the independent directors and me as the CEO run the business, clearly, and we're traded as a public company. But it gives you a sense of history, what's important, and a sense of the patience that's required to build beer brands over time.
Mark Hunter, thanks so much for coming. I'm James Passery with Real Money's Fill or Kill team in New York.